Hello, it's Tree Sprite, and we're finally back for another video. This time we are revisiting our Generation 3 My Little Pony birthday pony redesign series. This is how I'd like them to look like, where we're basically taking the Generation 3 of these characters, so July Larkspur and July Jubilee, and I basically decided to randomize different creatures and species that they've had for My Little Pony over the years, because the original birthday ponies were just Earth ponies, and I find that a little boring to just do the same thing over again. Um, so for this month, we have July Larkspur, who is now a Kieran, and we have July Jubilee, who is a twice as fancy. The Kieran species was uh, debuted in the Generation 4 of My Little Pony. They only appeared for like an episode, and that's it. And then the Twice as Fancy was just a toy gimmick that they did. In this context or universe, I'm not sure exactly what purpose a Twice as Fancy pony can provide. Because you have things like crystal ponies, and that's also like decorative. They don't serve any other purpose. But then you have stuff like the changelings, who are a main foe for Generation 4. And yeah, I'm just not sure what else a twice as fancy pony could do besides just have an extra cutie mark, you know? It's definitely just a little toy gimmick that they did, and probably would stick that way if you were to ever try to bring back a twice as fancy pony, for like a main storyline thing, you know? I did think about copying that scene with August Blaze with the rainbow for this picture, but I ended up just going with them taking a stroll through like the Kieran homelands in this case. So far for this series, I like to imagine that it's both these ponies' birthday, and they're friends because they share a similar birthday, and they decide to spend their birthday together. How they like to spend their birthday together. A lot of the birthday ponies that I've been featuring, I've never drawn before, but as we get into the colder months, I've definitely drawn them at least once before. So I guess we'll see how that turns out when we get there. Because for a while there, I would do at least like one My Little Pony illustration for that month. And then I also did my My Little Pony redesign series. And that was more like maybe twice a month. I don't know. And then this series has kind of just been whenever I found time to do it, and felt like doing it. I do think it's interesting as you go month to month, for the most part. Each month has a similar theming going on, but then like next month, they're not as themed together, you could say. But I feel like the other ones, I had at least like a similar color in common. But yeah, definitely this month they have a similar like pink and purple hue that they share. I don't know if they were designed that way on purpose or not. Because I imagine they did the birthday ponies for Generation 3 to call back to the Generation 1 iteration of this. But then they did like their own spin to it. But at the same time, like at the end of the day, it's another like toy gimmick that they did. And I keep bringing up the fact that like it's a toy gimmick, and I don't think I've explained that properly for people that don't understand what that is. Basically, companies like to come up with a theme or a purpose, like, you know, the birthday ponies in this case, to just sell more toys. Because I imagine like a grandma or something would go to the store and be like, oh, my kid has a July birthday, I'm going to buy this pony because it's also a July birthday pony. Because it's just kind of that way in like the 80s and 90s, you know. But yeah, if I were to do another generation after Generation 4 or Generation 5, I think you could have Kieran serve their original purpose as being like forest spirits. And then maybe the Twice as Fancies are just like a gimmick, and you can see them in the background occasionally. Um, but they don't really have like a wider, deeper lore, such as like the Crystal Ponies in this case. And I still have another species that I came up with based on the Generation 4 and Generation 5 series, or the Generation 1 and 2, you know. The previous generation series, I do have another month for that. But then I think for the month of September and on, I'm going to have to get a little bit creative. I don't know. I did save some references of different species I could do next. This series, I originally just went through and picked some out, and then, you know, had an actual number generation pick it out for me. So I guess we'll see as the months go on. But I feel like I've made this video long enough. If your July birthday, happy birthday. Even though it's late. I'll see you next time.